How's it going, Hoosiers? Ben Gillard from Hoosier Huddle here, and today I'm joined by my friend Dan Fongaro, former Columbia and Indiana wrestler, and we're talking about the NCAAs. 1 week away, we got a lot of Hoosiers in the mix.
Exciting times, Ben. It's the best tournament of the year. They call it March Mat-ness.
Yeah, there you go.
I think it's better than March Madness, but a lot of people disagree. But it's a hell of a tournament. It's a lot of fun.
So you were just at practice today, so why don't we just dive into it? Starting off, going lightest to heaviest with, I'd argue, IU's best wrestler in Jacob Moran at the 125.
Yeah, Jake Moran coming in at the 14 seed, coming off a pretty strong showing at Big Tens. I mean, he took fourth there. And when you look at where he is on the bracket, it's an interesting spot because he's got to, every match at this tournament, there's no such thing as an easy match at the NCAA tournament. You have the 33 best guys in the country. But, being the analysts that we are, we can look ahead. These guys, when they're wrestling, they don't look ahead one match at a time. But so we look past his first match. He's going up against Turukina from UNC. No, he's not a slouch by any means. But what gets me excited is Jake Moran's second match versus Nick Bouzakis, the 3 seed. Because Jake has wrestled him twice this year. The first time did not go so hot. But at Big Tens in that third, fourth match, I mean, he was really close. He's closing the gap. And at that point, that's a pre-quarter match, Right. So you win that, he could end up in a good spot.
Yeah, and you said before we were rolling, he's probably the best bet for that All-American spot from the IU guys. And, of course, that's what you want to get. You want to get on that podium at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would say so. Because even, I don't fully understand the bracketology, but seeing some people on X, the Hoosier headlock on X, pointed out that if all goes to seed, then Jake Moran would end up wrestling Dean Peterson of Iowa, former Rutgers wrestler, in the blood round. And that's a match I've been wanting to see all year. I think it's a great style matchup. And, to get on the podium, you're going to have to beat a great guy like Dean Peterson. And I think stylistically, that match would be fireworks.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about styles make fights and just all of the storylines that would come into a match like that, you mentioned they don't look ahead, but is that sort of in the back of your mind, maybe a little bit?
Different guys have different philosophies on it. When I was talking to Jake today, I asked him before he even brought it up, because some guys, they like to completely check out and just not even look at the bracket, not look at the seed at all, and just like to go in and coach tells me you're wrestling this guy who does this, and you go out there wrestling the match. Some guys do like to look at the bracket, think about things a little more. So I went in today and asked Jay, did you look at the bracket at the seeds yet? And he was like, yes. So then that gave me permission to kind of talk to him about it a little bit more. So, nobody's looking ahead too far, but you do start to think, what does the road look like to the podium? It's something to think about for sure.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that one of the things they're doing to measure success is thinking about expected points versus what they actually earn in these things. Of course, you get points for advancement and all your typical dual stuff.
That's been a big point of pride from Coach Escobedo before Big Tens. He put up all these posters in the room talking about that very point, the sort of upsets and expected points, because it's hard to find a metric to measure yourself by in wrestling when Penn State's just kind of putting
every year,
every year, but you got to find a metric to really measure yourself. And so Coach Escobedo put up these posters on ranked upsets in the last 3 postseasons and the trend is up. You see 2023, 7 of them, 2024, 9 of them, 2025, 11 of them.
I like that.
Maybe we'll see, it seems to be increasing in 2s, so maybe we'll see 13, maybe we'll see more.
Yeah, you never know. And you, of course, wrestled under Coach Escobedo. What's he get like at this point in the year? Is there anything he really strives to hit home right before you head to NCAAs? Because, of course, you wrestled in the NCAAs.
Yeah, I think Coach Escobedo does a great job of instilling calmness in guys at this time of year and not letting anybody get too wound up, too nervous, or caught up in the big moment. That was the big theme of the pre-practice talk today was, not getting caught up in the moment and not making things bigger than they are. So at the end of the day, it is just a wrestling match. Now, at the end of the day, it's not just either, because you go out there, they got the brand new match, you're in the arena, the crowd, it feels like you're a gladiator. But if you can just keep in the back of your mind that you're playing a game the whole time, and I think that's what Coach Escobedo does a really good job at, being calm. in these scenarios.
Absolutely. And then looking ahead, going into the 157, Bryce Lowry going up against Jimmy Harrington of Harvard, I believe.
I like that first round matchup for Bryce a lot. Bryce is a guy who had a great Big Ten tournament. Wouldn't have expected. He was kind of in and out of that like 30 to 33 of the rankings all year.
Yeah.
Picked up a few good wins, but he showed something special at that Big Ten tournament. So he's in a different scenario than Jake, I would say, because Jake has just been consistent all year.
Right.
Consistently in that top tier conversation. Bryce has been a little bit up and down, but he's up right now, and that's where you want to be. Momentum heading into the Big Tens.
Absolutely. You mentioned up and down, of course, in March Madness, as you called it. One of the unique things is you do have those opportunities for those wrestlebacks. You get into that secondary bracket, which something like a basketball tournament doesn't have. What is the mindset going into something like that? Is it just become, just get as many points as you can, because you can still earn points in those wrestlebacks?
Yeah, I mean, every year there's, I forget the term that they give them. Maybe it's Iron Man or something, but there's always a guy who loses first round and fights all the way back to third place.
There you go.
And that is almost a bigger achievement than winning the tournament in a lot of ways, because the mental adversity, your back's against the wall, especially, it's one thing. I only made it when I was a senior, so this is the only feeling I know. But when it's your last year and this is it. Like, this is a wrap. I'm not going, this is it. This is the end. If I lose this match and your back's against the wall, it brings out a different, it's impossible. You can't even pretend to not be nervous anymore.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, once you get to that point, like I said, when you're in the top bracket, you can kind of think about looking ahead and doing some math.
Yeah.
When you're in the bottom, there is none of that. It's survival mode.
Yeah.
Like, this is all that matters is what's in front of me right now.
And that's sort of just, it kind of stops everything, right? Time sort of stops a little bit, and you just wrestle the guy in front of you.
It's long days for sure.
So then we move into the 165 with Tyler Lillard, who's another guy that you really like and really like the way he's wrestled this year.
Yeah, I mean, that match with Joey Blaze in the Purdue match was what really signaled to me that Ty is ready to make a run to get on this podium. I'd put him, if I was ranking, likelihood of All-Americaning, Ty would be slotted in right behind Jake in there. I think all 6 of these guys have chances, but just in terms of best chances, he's really hard to score on. He's so flexible.
Yeah.
And that match with Joey Blaze really showed me something, and he's continuously built on that performance. In Big Tens, he showed some good stuff as well. So I think he's in a good spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Blaze brothers, 2 of the best in the business in the Big Ten, and to show that against him is really an indicator that he's ready to take this next step.
Yeah, and he's wrestling a Lehigh guy, right? Brignola.
Yes.
I wrestled Brignola back at Columbia when I was 149. Yeah. So Brignola's a guy that bumped up from 149 to 65 now. I mean, he fills in the weight. He fills in the weight nice, but still, Ty, I would say, is a more natural 65. Brignola's seated very high, but if I was an odds maker, I would say that Ty Lillard's favored in that match. Yeah,
and when you wrestled him, obviously lighter weight class, what did you notice from him just in that match?
Well, he's a lanky guy. Likes to get to the low ankle shots, extend positions, but not in a super scrambly way, more in a traditional way. And this was 3 years ago, so he's certainly gotten a lot better, changed his style a little bit since then. But Brignola's a mentally tough kid, and he doesn't stop coming, and neither does Ty. It'll be a fun one.
It should be a good one. Another good one in the 174 with Derek Gilcher. He goes up against Luca Augustine, I believe, from Pitt.
Yeah, that's an exciting match. Gilcher's just a traditional tank. He doesn't do anything too crazy or doesn't have any special technique or anything, but fundamentally very sound with his go-behinds, very sound with his shots and his mat wrestling. His mat returns are elite, and that's something you see a lot in this NCAA tournament. The Big Ten tends to be better on top in a gritty sense. Not necessarily talking about skills and turns, but in the grittiness of the mat return. Yeah. The Big Ten tends to flex their skills a little bit at the NCAA tournament when they go up against these out-of-conference guys. So that's something I'd look for with Gilcher going up against a dude from Pitt, because those mat returns can wear a guy out.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think that just comes from having those powerhouse programs in the Big Ten, like a Penn State or an Iowa, or do you think it's just a mindset throughout the entire conference?
I think it's definitely, I mean, there's a coaching aspect to it, but I also, maybe the bigger part is in the Big Ten, every match that you wrestle is against a ranked guy for the most part. They're close matches. Even when you're, the number 3 guy in the country like Joey Blaze going up against Ty Lil, like even if you're 3 versus 20, it's a hard match.
Yeah.
So in those matches, everything is tight, and when everything's tight, you need those extra seconds of riding time. Every point matters a little bit more. So I think Big Ten guys are used to fighting for every point a little bit more, as opposed to in other conferences where maybe there's a little bit more of a mismatch sometimes, and you can kind of have your way. So,
and that's got to pay dividends once you get to the NCAAs, where you really are those evenly matched.
Yes,
evenly matched fighters.
Nothing comes easy.
We turn now to 184, a guy who sort of snuck his way into the tournament, Sam Going. A guy who you were surprised is this low seeded. You called him criminally underseeded.
He is. He's the 33 seed. And he asked me after practice today, he said, Dan, do you know, has anybody ever All-American from the 33 seed? And I looked it up, and no, they haven't. I mean, they only seeded 33 since, I think, 2019.
Right.
And nobody's done it yet. And he says, I'm going to do it.
He's going to do it.
I think he's got it in him. He's a young dude, freshman, so I think Sam Going, I'm very excited about the future prospects of Sam Going, more so than this year. I think he's got true national title potential in the years going forward. But coming in this year, goal for him is to get on the podium from a 33 seed, and if any 33 seed has a chance to do it, I think he does. Wow. He's really good. He's picked up some good wins. Reason he fell to the 33 really is because he had a very nice win early in the year versus Aaron Azaroff of Columbia.
Your former school.
Yeah, who was top 15 throughout most of the year, and then Azaroff ended up losing his spot at the end of the year to Joe Curtis, who actually he leads the NCAA in pins, Joe Curtis. But that's a side point. So my point is, with the seeding, he lost that quality win in the seeding, whereas if Azaroff was in the tournament, he could be in that 20 seed range, but instead he falls to 33. But wise coach once told me, seeds are for growing corn.
Yeah, so there you go. There you go. You never worry about the seeds. It's the fighter in front of you, and then at that point, he's got that extra chip on his shoulder now. If he's already thinking about this, I think that mental aspect's already there, and he could make a run.
You could see it in practice today, man. He was locked in. Yeah, he was ready to go.
He is, and that's what you mentioned. You're so excited for him moving forward. If this is what he's doing as a freshman, man, can you imagine when he gets to be an upperclassman?
Oh, I can imagine it. It's a nice imagination.
Yeah, it is. So we move now to the 197. Gabe Solers. He's going up against Camden McDaniel of Nebraska.
Yeah.
What are we thinking
about that?
Big Ten
finalist, I believe, McDaniel. And they wrestled earlier in the year, and it was a close match. I think Gabe lost 5-3 or something like that. Gabe's a guy who improved his seed on his Big Ten finish.
Right.
He took 4th in the Big Ten, which was he outperformed his seed pretty well and got back some matches against Wyatt Ingham of Wisconsin that he'd lost earlier in the year. So he's another guy similar to Bryce that has a lot of momentum coming into this tournament. And, you come in as the 14 seed, you're slated to be close to that blood round area, which that's all you could really ask for, is get me to the blood round and then let me try my best in there. And I think this first match will be a big one for Gabe, because it's a 50-50. I'm not comfortable saying anybody's really favored there, but we'll see. I mean, Gabe's done a great job this year.
It sort of becomes like that feather in your cap, where if you have that first one, the rest of it seems easy in a sense. I mean, of course, nothing's easy in the NCAA, but once you get a big win over a guy that you've wrestled before, it's something you can sort of stack on moving into the later rounds.
Especially in that opening round, because you got to think about bracketology-wise. Every round, every win in that opening in the top bracket is worth 2 wins below.
Right.
So you're really, if the goal is to get on the podium, every win you get up top saves your body, saves, all these matches are tough. Right. So getting the win on the top is huge.
Yeah, definitely. So we've gone through all the individual fighters. What are you looking for from Indiana as a team? Obviously, we talked about expected points versus actual points, and what do you see this team doing here in the NCAAs this year?
Yeah, well, coming off, last year, DJ Washington got on the podium, first All-American since, I believe, 2016, 2017. So that's going to be the goal for this Hoosier program, is to get somebody on the podium. You try to build a streak of All-Americans going. The team aspect, I'd say Indiana's got some work to do before they start thinking about team trophy-wise or anything. You kind of need to qualify all 10 guys to be in that conversation. Right. But you get All-Americans on the board, and then all of a sudden recruits walk in and they see a streak of All-Americans going, and they say, I could be next on that wall. Yeah. And it's a snowball effect. So, getting one guy on the podium is probably the low goal. Getting 2 or 3 multiple Americans, I think that's what Coach Escobedo has in mind for this weekend.
Absolutely, and I think we've got some guys on this team who can certainly do that. I mean, you mentioned all 6 of these guys have the opportunity to do that, and I think we could see multiple All-Americans from this Hoosier team.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to pick 3, I'm going Moran, Lillard, and Goen on that podium.
Yeah.
But anybody could do it. Somebody's going to do it.
Somebody's going to do it. You heard it here first. Dan is saying we're getting an All-American from the Hoosier team this year. Thanks so much for watching. I've been Ben Gillard. Thanks again to Dan Fongaro for coming on and being a part of this podcast.
Thanks for having me, Ben.
Go Hoosiers. Go Hoosiers.